Listen. Cowabunga! It's good!
If you're listening to this, you are listening to a highly classified episode 251 of Colette and Madam into the chat. You have security clearance for this briefing. Your mission, double O's, if you choose to accept it. Actually, you can't choose to not accept it if you're an MI6. That's what's that mission? That's Mission Impossible. I don't remember what agency they work for in Mission Impossible, but
oh God, me either.
Here at MI6, you must accept the mission to listen to this podcast all the way through. I'm going to say at no faster than 1.5. If you're listening faster than 1.5, then I think you should see a doctor.
Plus, we'd sound like little sped up mice if you were.
Yes. There was a time in the past where speeding up audio could only result in chipmunk voice, and then somehow we developed the technology to play audio fast without pitch change.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I
don't listen to things sped up.
I was going to say, okay. Regular. Yeah. My rule of thumb is if I'm listening for enjoyment, I listen at 1.0. the correct human speed. And if I'm trying to consume information very quickly for work or something, then I will happily do 1.5 or 2 to just to like absorb it, you know?
Yep.
But people in this world who listen to like comedy podcasts at like 3x speed, I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you doing that? Like, what's wrong with you?
Everything is already overwhelming and too fast. So I don't want anything else too fast in my nothing.
Agreed.
Please.
It's like watching a movie at 3x speed. I'm like, but you're here to enjoy yourself. Why are you doing that? No one would do that. You monsters. We've got a lot of news to cover. We've got a lot of games to cover. We are coming at you on Sunday afternoon. This is May 31st. And my name is Matt Silverman, joined as always by Colette Bennett. She's the other person here. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Quite a week in news.
Lots of little bits and bobs here. So, at the risk of making a 3-hour show, let's just get in here. You and I are very fortunate and fortunate enjoyers of the Steam Deck because we purchased ours when they came out, when they were the price of a normal video game console.
Yes. And I don't remember what they were when they released. Do you? They like $6.99 or something like that?
So it depends on the model. And what's interesting here is that the original OG Steam Decks with the LCD screen, which are the ones I presume that we both own, unless you got the OLED, right? You got the original.
I have the original.
Yep. So I think if you got the bare bones, like very small amount of storage, OG, it was like $349 or something, you know? And then if you got sort of like, the original LCD with like 64 gigs of storage was very affordable. And I can only speak for me, but I remember you and I talking about it a lot. I think you and I both got maybe the middle tier one.
I got the 1 terabyte, which was
so you got the big
because I had to look at those original, because I just thought, we might put a lot of stuff on it.
Totally.
So, and I've bought 2 small phones before and paid the price, so I was like, no, let's just get the big daddy while we can.
So you went with the big daddy, which was probably closer to $450, maybe pushing $5 at the time. Who knows? I can't
remember. Yeah.
And I went with the middle of the road storage one because you can, as we know, you can add an SD card to add more storage to your Steam Deck. So I kind of went like the flexible route to just kind of like wait for an Amazon sale on an SD card and grab that extra storage as applicable. So either way, that was sort of like 400-ish. But then they discontinued so then the OLEDs came out and people really love their OLED screens. I don't particularly care that much about that personally. So it was never
I mean, they're
worth the
nice,
price.
but
They're very
like
nice.
if it was available when I bought it, I might have done it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm not going to buy a new system
Totally.
and get rid of the old system just for that. I didn't do it for the Switch either.
Yeah, same, exactly. So then you had the OLED, which was more pricey, and then they phased out the LCDs in favor of like, hey, we're gonna sell the rest of these LCDs. You can buy them used, you can buy them refurbished, but going forward, we will only sell the OLEDs. And that was like, okay, this is kind of like the refresh of the line. And then the chip shortage started catching up with the RAM and chip shortage started catching up with everyone and everything, and the Steam Decks were completely out of stock for literally months, 3 months probably, something maybe more.
So that makes me wonder, were they really out of stock or were they like on pause while they were trying to navigate how to deal with this situation?
I might venture to guess both. I mean, I think that's actually a great question. That's a great question.
Because I mean, that's tough when, and I don't know what it would look like behind the scenes exactly, but like, if they're trying to, if I'm assuming, well, let me not get too far ahead of myself. Anyway.
Well, I mean, to your point, out of stock means we do not have boxes ready to ship to consumers. But what may have happened, as you might be alluding to, is like, oh, we're making them and we have them at the factory, but holy shit, we cannot source the RAM at any reasonable price point. So they are made and they are ready to start getting packaged up, but we don't know how to price them yet or make them available yet because we don't know how to like not lose our shirts or whatever on the products or whatever. So yeah, that's an interesting question that we may never know the answer to.
Probably
and just
not.
Right. On the personal side, we, as I mentioned on this show, we needed like a big marquee gift for our son's 10th birthday, and it was not going to be a phone or a smartwatch or anything like that. But I was very excited to bring him into the fold of PC Steam gaming, and so I ended up paying more than the original sticker price for like a basically new LCD OG Steam Deck that we are very happy with and is great. Yep. But I paid like a little more than I would have if I had purchased it new on the day of release for an LCD.
Because at that time they were out of stock.
Completely out of stock. So I had to buy it secondhand from, I think it was eBay or whatever. And so at that moment, I was purchasing sort of like an out of production electronic device that is not currently available, both from a stock point of view and, hey, we don't make the LCDs anymore. So I paid a markup to a third party seller to get this because there was no other way to get one. And here we are 2 months later-ish. And the current OLED Steam Decks were back in stock for a hot minute with a price increase of like 40% markup. Not markup, but like cost increase. So now I'm pulling up the article here. The 512 gigabytes, so let's call that the middle model, not the 1 terabyte that you had talked about or that you got, yep. But the 512 gigabyte OLED was $549, which is big, but it's OLED and it's a lot of storage. That now costs $789. And the 1 terabyte model, which again is not the model that you own, but it is that level of storage.
Right.
It was $649. It is now $949. So with tax and shipping or whatever, I don't know if there's actually a shipping cost these days on these. But with your tax,
there was.
No,
but with tax, you're looking at $1,000 for sure.
$1,000.
Yep.
To purchase a Steam Deck in 2026, albeit the premium model, and I do want to reiterate, most of our listeners certainly are aware of this or know this, but like these all have the exact same internal specs.
Mm-hmm.
The Steam Deck that you and I enjoy is the exact same computing power as this $1,000 Steam Deck that you can buy today or could have bought today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just has bigger storage and a fancier screen, but in
Yep.
terms of horsepower, it's identical.
Yep.
Um, and so the world, the gaming world was like, holy shit, this is fucking insane. And I don't know that anyone's like blaming or yelling at Valve. I think we are all just really starting to freak about
Yeah.
the shortage in the supply chain.
Well, just so we have it on record in this conversation, their announcement about the increase was uh, the increase is because of rising memory and storage costs. These new prices reflect the current state of component costs and other global logistical challenges across the industry as a whole. So I think the tone sounds to me like this wasn't what they wanted to do,
Right.
but it's what they have to do. But I will say this, my first reaction to this was, if I did not already own a Steam Deck, I could not own a Steam Deck
Totally.
today, because I don't have $1,000 to throw at a video game. Like, you know, my history of buying video game consoles has always been like more in like the $300 to $500
Yeah.
range. And it's like, that's something that I feel like, you know, I can save for, or I can set aside money for when it comes out. But like $1,000 is a new computer. And I realize it's a handheld computer, but like it's a handheld computer to me is a luxury, you know?
Yes.
So it was a very weird feeling of like, oh, I'm very lucky I got this early because I could not afford to have one now.
And now I look at the Steam Deck on my shelf that I will pick up occasionally and being like, I need to put this behind glass because
Yeah.
if this gets dropped, that's it. There is no, I don't know how to replace it or fix it or you know what I mean? It's like, it's this, it, look, number one, these are all first world problems. Number two, we have lived in a world of abundance and access for most of our lives where it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, if you fucking drop your shit on the floor and then it sucks to buy a new one, but to buy a new phone, but you can go and buy one and or get it fixed. And now it's like the world is like, sorry, there just aren't any more chips. There just aren't enough things in the factories to make the things to replace your things.
Yep.
So best of luck. And
Right.
that is it's only starting to happen, obviously, but the idea that could creep into other dimensions of our lives, like I don't know that the food supply chain is going to necessarily be touched by AI data centers or whatever, but like,
But the gas supply chain
gas,
will. And if
exactly.
you're
Yep.
not worried about what that's going to look like in a few
Correct.
months, let me tell you, I hope you enjoyed sitting at home for the pandemic, because that is a real possibility of what could happen in the next couple of months
I'm
to
really glad
us.
you're saying the word pandemic because like all of this, remember when we were like, I don't know if there's going to be enough toilet paper, I don't know if we're going to have enough beans, so we just bought a
Yeah.
16 cans of beans from Costco. Like all of this feels like prepper hoarder shit, and it
Yeah,
fucking
but
sucks.
well, the only thing I hope, and this has nothing to do with games, it's
Yeah.
only tangentially related to where we're going. The only thing I hope, I had a conversation with a friend about this yesterday, is that this time around, people take it seriously instead of flipping out and
I
showing up at the
hope.
gas station 48 hours before they're like, we're about to run out of gas. So you can't drive cars anymore. Like, because I think that that is a real thing that could happen. And my friend and I yesterday talked about how, like a few weeks before the pandemic really hit here in America, how
Mm-hmm.
she was like stocking up on stuff and kind of creating like an emergency pantry. And her friends were like, what are you crazy? Like, this is going to
Right.
be over in a few weeks. And I
Totally.
also had people in my life who said, this is only going to last a few weeks. And I was like, these people are deluded. Like, how do you think you're going to manage like a disease that doesn't have a cure right now, or a vaccine rather, in
But
weeks.
I
And of
think
course they were all diluted.
even if it was a few weeks, even if we sort of because we had no concept of what this could possibly be.
Right.
Like the
Right.
idea of being isolated for years was like so impossible to comprehend. But
Right.
if memory serves, and it's very blurry because it was a stupid, fucking insane time.
Yep.
I feel like the grocery stores were running out of basic things, and
Hmm.
even people, including us, who are like, well, we don't know if it's going to be like weeks or maybe like months. We don't
Hmm.
know, but like we don't have enough toilet paper or vegetables
So
to
we're going to buy it
last
all.
3 weeks, so we got to just make sure we have it. And we didn't have babies, but we had little kids, and I
Yeah.
just like can't even get my head around people who had infants being like, do we have enough formula or baby food
Formula.
or diaper? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like we were talking yesterday about the idea of walking to the grocery store to have to get your stuff, because if you can't put gas in your car,
yeah,
then how are you going to get groceries? And I was like, ooh, because I was thinking about our closest grocery store, and I was like, it's not super close, but I mean, I guess we could walk there in like 30 minutes or something.
right.
And I was like, that's a real thing that we might have to really think about if this was to happen. So I'm not trying to, doomsday. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to be realistic about you know, and to circle it all back around to Valve and what they've chosen, I think that we are going to see some real like changes that will seem shocking,
yeah,
but in reality, they have been coming as a part of like the economic climate for a
yeah.
minute.
I
And it's just that we haven't experienced too many things you know, like it, quite like it before. So some people will be like, "Well, I can't believe this," and it's like, well, if you're reading the news, you should believe it. The information is there.
no shit, and I am increasingly feeling like we people of our age inhabited a very brief moment of prosperity and forward mobility in life, meaning like post World War II, boomers had a really good ride, and we as the children of boomers benefited immensely from that, and
Yep.
we thought that the world was always like that, but in actuality war and depression and recession and just the rise of populism and fascism has always been around us and affecting global politics, but we sort of slipped through in this teeny bubble that
Hmm.
was like, yay, we can ride our bikes to school and movies are cool and whoa, video games, cool, man. TV, there's all this cool rock and roll, punk rock, like everything was just like fun and cool. And the worst problem in our lives was like, you like that music? Well, I like this music. You have no taste. You suck. And now I think we're waking up to like, oh yeah, this is like what it must have been like in like Serbia in the 90s, where like fucking shit ass white people, men were like, I think this and I'm gonna fucking do this or that. And those people were like, our democracy, not, we don't, what's happening?
Yep. Yep. All that is true. All that is completely 100% true, and it is really sad and it is really depressing,
It's
but
really
it is what
sad.
it is.
It's really sad.
Um,
And I get really angry as people around us are like, America, 250, freedom, everything. Like, let's celebrate this country. It's like,
yeah.
it,
No.
this is not, we should not be celebrating. We should be fucking taking really hard looks at what we're doing.
Yeah. I completely agree in every way. So,
So backing up again from solving the global economic, socio-political climate, what I feel really upset about, what drilling specifically down to video games, is that as Steam Decks and computers and Nintendo Switches, which just went up in price, and
yep.
there is so much talk about like, well, the PS6 is on its way, but how the fuck is Sony going to manufacture and ship a PS6 or a Steam machine, which is about to hit, that is
And
going to
there's
be
no way the
less
Steam machine's going to cost less than $1,000. There's
if
no
if
way,
if
especially not
the
now.
yes, if a Steam Deck is $800 and the Steam machine is supposedly 6 times more powerful, that
Yeah,
is
no,
the
it's going
actual
to be,
spec.
it might be more than $1,000. It might be like 1,500 bucks.
$1,500.
Yeah. And I'm like, honestly, Valve, I love y'all, but there's no way, unless like my husband and I were both intensely financially prospering, that I could, because I mean, I could buy a whole fucking computer rig with that money. Like I could
You
buy a new
absolutely
PC.
right.
And as much as I want to still play games in my living room, like this entire situation is just going to drive me further into PC only play, of which I
Sure.
am 90% there already.
Right.
Just because, this is not a climate in which it can be like, oh, I can, get the new console when it comes out. I can get like, no.
The thing that is really bumming me out about it is that we are pricing kids and families out of video
Out.
games.
And that really bothers me too, because it's like I think about my childhood memories and I think about how formative some of them were, how valuable, how meaningful, how they've resonated across my entire life, and that a lot of families might not be able to afford to give that to kids because of these price hikes. And is it the family's fault? Of course not. But let's get real. I mean, there's a lot of people who it would have been a struggle for them to afford the original prices of some of these
Yeah,
consoles,
of course.
much less the hiked ones.
But guess who's waiting in the wings to scoop up your children's video game time? Roblox, which is free and it's on your fucking tablet or phone, which everyone has a tablet and a phone. You are legally required to have these devices in our modern society. So this is what I'm saying is like kids want to play video games and they will always play video games. But if they cannot afford a $900 PlayStation, then they're going to spend their time in the same 6 free or legacy games. Now, Minecraft is awesome. And so if you're playing Minecraft, it's great.
Right.
But like, if a kid cannot access like narrative or emotionally resonant or deeply puzzle philosophical, if they cannot access rich video game experiences, then they're just going to play fucking mobile scam games made by shitty developers or other kids and be scammed into paying Robux for shit. And they're going to do that anyway, but like they really have no dumb kids who don't know what's good have no other path forward in gaming because their parents can't afford real video games. And that is really bumming me out about all this.
Yeah. And you have every right to feel that way. I feel the same way. And not everybody is the PC route is just not gonna be for everybody, like you have to think about lifestyle too. You have to think about, maybe, kids that are going to college or high school or whatever. And like they having something like the Switch, they can throw in their bag as a way to, for me, it was, like DS
Totally.
Lite, 3DS, but like having that was like a way to game anywhere when you were mobile a lot. And now I'm lucky to work at home and have access to that PC when I'm not working so I can play. But like, yeah, there's just, we are moving into a time that is going to affect the way people play games. And even if they can play games at all, heavily.
Yep.
In the next year, especially.
And Steam has solved it. Steam has solved the like, no one really likes PC. No one really wants to afford a PC. No one wants to dick around with a PC. But how can we still access PC games? They did it. They fucking did it. And here it is. But because of these global economic forces, data centers, AI, tariffs, war, man, if I was like in charge of Steam hardware right now, I would be so fucking pissed because we're right there.
I feel like they have to be, because I feel like they have always, my take about them has always been, and why I love them so much, is that they are a company that are gamers themselves and want to put these interests first. And they also seem like decent people that really want to design things that make, other folks like them happy. And so I am sure that they are not happy at all. I don't
Everything they
think they're like,
design
oh, we're
makes
going to make more money. Like, I don't think
right.
that's even
No,
remotely
they
at it here.
want the business incentive is to sell these boxes at an affordable price so they can take 30% off of every game you buy on a Steam machine. That's the
Right.
business, and that's been the model of many consoles too for a long time. Is it's you don't make money from boxes, you make money from
Mm-hmm.
software.
Yeah.
And now we can't afford the boxes, which means we can't access the software,
Yep.
depending on
That's all
how
true.
you want to play games. Yeah. Yeah, it just well, to conclude this chunk, I will end on a bright spot because it's related to what you just said about kids throwing a DS in their pocket and then playing on the go. We went to my son's soccer game yesterday. It was a very exciting game. They won. They crushed. They did awesome. There was a young girl. I want to say I'm going to peg her like 7 years old, 8 years old, maybe, little, adorable on the sidelines. And she had a beautiful OLED Switch. It was a Switch 1, I presume, because I don't think there is an OLED. There's no OLED Switch 2 yet. But it was like a big, beautiful screen, these white Joy-Cons, lovely. And she's sitting there. It was very windy, so everyone had their hoods and coats on. And she's sitting there at the soccer game. She's playing. And I'm like, what is an 8-year-old girl playing on a Nintendo Switch in 2026? So I'm like creeping over to like look over her shoulder. And I'm like, I'm sure she's just playing like a Roblox thing. Is Roblox even on Switch? I don't even know. But
I
I'm
don't
like,
know, probably.
what? And I'm like, maybe she's playing. Is she playing a Pokemon game? Is she playing a Mario game? Like, what is a girl playing in 2026? And I look over and I'm starting to see like boxes with dialogue, and I'm like, is she playing like an RPG, like a story game on her Switch in 2026? And for most of the game, I was like, I'm guessing it's Pokemon. It's got to be Pokemon. It's a kid. And there's a glare on the screen, so I can't really see. And I finally look and I finally see it's a little black cat walking through on a city block. And I'm like, oh,
Stray?
not Stray. Little Kitty, Big City.
Oh, I love that game.
A child in 2026 is not playing a mobile shit game. She's not playing a gacha. She's not playing a Pokemon. She is playing this narrative driven cat game. And I was like, you know what? The kids are all right.
The kids are all right. That's cool. That's really, really cool. That's such a great game for a kid around that age too.
Right? Perfect.
Yeah, it's fun, it's thoughtful, you can tell it's made with love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
That
great.
that thank you. She's playing a game that's made with love, that has characters and story and puzzles, and I just felt really refreshed and optimistic about that, because I rarely see children in the wild playing anything other than shitty mobile games, Roblox,
Yeah.
Fortnite, whatever.
Yeah.
Fortnite's fine, but come on. And
Right.
Minecraft is great.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got next for news?
Well, for this is a really interesting story because I have friends that have played this series. I have never, but this is just not the kind of thing you hear all the time. So CD Project Red announced an expansion to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Will be coming next year. And you're like, okay, an expansion, that's not that weird, except that The Witcher 3 originally came out in 2015. So this game is now 11 years old. What the hell? So I wish I had like Witcher 3 friends to ask about this. Cause like, I mean, that would literally be like the equivalent. I mean, I guess Nintendo did announce like new content for the last Animal Crossing, but it's
even still, that's still
it's
like
only a couple of years. Yeah, it's not
3 years,
yeah,
whatever it
like
was,
this
right?
is like over a decade. So I'm like, what made them decide to do this? But then what I thought was incredibly interesting was that I think actually maybe someone said this in the Discord about how many copies it sold. What in like the last
Oh, it was
year,
probably
despite
me.
have was it you? How considering how old it is, that it was still selling like a ton, and it made me go like, what did I miss here? Like,
I am floored by how many copies of this game. I guess
more than
CD
60 million since its original
they
release
just
is what it
crossed
says here.
65 according to various
Nice.
sources. I don't know if CD Projekt Red is public, if they are like disclosing like
I
accurate
don't
sales
know.
figures for like shareholders or whatever.
Yeah, actually, they are because their earnings are on the bottom of this post
There
on
you
their
go.
website.
Perfect. Yeah, so that is why we seem to have like clear numbers. But that okay. So this story is interesting for all the reasons you just laid out of like who is still buying and playing this game in 2026? Why are they doing an expansion that is not like, guess what? Here's an expansion. It's like, guess what? Here's a blog post, and we will have an expansion for this 11-year-old game in 2027 next year. It's not even, there's no trailer, there's no teaser. There's just a name for it.
Yeah, and it says that like you will play Geralt, who I know is like a pivotal character in this series,
Yeah.
like in a brand new adventure, and I'm like, what's happening?
So I was number one. I obviously it is one of the like biggest and best like our action RPGs ever. Like it is the most lauded one of these games
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
imagine, and obviously we know it's popular. But like 65 million copies sold, it puts it as I wait. Let me. Did I share the Wikipedia? Hold on.
You probably
Um,
did.
I believe it is the eighth best-selling video game of all time, with an asterisk. And let's talk about why in a moment. Best-selling video games of all time, Wikipedia. I'm giving this to you so you can play along at home. Okay.
Cool.
So so according to Wikipedia, which is reporting verified sales numbers through public company disclosures, earnings calls, whatever consultancy trackers, however you want to figure this out. It is the eighth best-selling game behind Terraria, PUBG, Battlegrounds, Mario Kart 8, Wii Sports, Red Dead Redemption. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the second best-selling game, and somehow on this chart, I don't really know how to read this, but Minecraft and Tetris are sort of tied for number one, but I don't really understand why. I quibble with this because like Tetris is a series, not a single game. So are they counting
Right.
like the original Tetris only?
Yes. Well, according to this, and it is Wikipedia, so take it with a grain of salt, but it says if whether it should belong to 1988 multi-platform puzzle video game Tetris or to Minecraft. So they are citing the original Tetris game.
But I don't know how to quite parse it. The original Tetris, but if that version for what, the NES? Is that
Well,
is that the
didn't
first
it but
Tetris game?
didn't it also come out on for the Game Boy?
Well, that's where
And
it
is it
got.
combined?
See, that's
That's what
what I'm
I'm
saying.
wondering.
The video game Tetris that came out for the Game Boy is not the same code graphics that was the NES version, but Game Boy is where it sold like bajillions of copies. But then if we port that version to a mobile, so anyway, all that to say, I don't know exactly how to read this chart.
Yeah, no, I mean me either, obviously, but
But needless to
still.
say, the Witcher 3 has sold more copies than Super Mario Brothers, the original Super Mario Brothers from 1985, according to this chart. But that made me question, like, well, surely Skyrim, the game that has been made and remade and ported and reported and released and then re-released and then special editioned and then re-special editioned and DLC'd on every fucking device you own, including your toaster. Certainly, Skyrim has sold more copies than The Witcher 3. And I think that is an open question because The Elder Scrolls Skyrim shows 30 million copies sold, making it the 31st most sold game on the list. But in the Wikipedia article, it says in the text, it says another sales issue involves The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which game director Todd Howard claims has sold 60 million copies, is deemed contentious due to Howard's history of making exaggerated statements about his games for promotional purposes. So I do not know if we have accurate sales data about Skyrim, but I swear to God, there's no way that Witcher 3 has outsold Skyrim. Like that cannot be true.
Yeah. This is, I mean, like it does say like this is a dynamic list and may never
Yeah.
be able to satisfy particular standards, etc. But like, and yeah, I don't know how updated it is, but it is. Yeah, I don't know.
It is, let's just call it is up to date based on reliable information that Wikipedia editors can access with a bunch of
Right.
caveats and asterisks. It also does not include free to play games, which arguably have more
Yeah.
installs and active players than many of these games on these lists, but because they are not sold, we cannot
Right.
track
You can't track them.
games
It also
sold.
makes me wonder if the Video Game Association also has a list of the best-selling games and if it would differ from this or if
Yeah.
this is pretty much accurate to what they have because I do trust their data.
Yep.
But I'm also amused looking at this list because I'm going, okay, the top 10 selling games of all time, I have played 2 of them.
Right. Yeah. I love looking at this list because even though I've looked at it 1,000 times, every time I look at it, I'm like, huh. Human Fall Flat is the 10th best-selling video game
Of all time.
of all
Like
time?
and then like seeing Terraria on here is like me for like at least the 50th time going, should you just try Terraria? Like I have like some reservations and some like interest, but like
I
yeah,
don't know if Terraria, as a person who fucking loves survival crafting games, I have tried Terraria once or twice and I'm like, I'm all right. I get it. I think it's great. I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe one day. Anyway, The Witcher 3 and the Witcher franchise is very popular. The For your reference, I've played all 3 games. I love all 3 games. I'm excited for The Witcher 4, which will someday be a video game. I played all of Witcher 3 and the 2 DLCs, and I will say something that is not this is well known, but for your information, the DLCs are not just like, hey, here's a bunch of cool side quests like more Witcher 3. Some of the DLCs are like, whoa, man, this DLC is actually like almost better than the main game, like in terms of like plots and characters. Like playing the full package of Witcher 3 and encountering all the DLC material in one glorious adventure is a transcendent experience. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah.
And so they sort of said like, okay, this is the final DLC. Like this is it. This DLC is done, and please enjoy The Witcher 3. And now, 11 years later, they're like, by the way, we're working on a third DLC, and it will be out next year. And my first thought, and I've heard this since, is like, okay, well, obviously they want to reignite people to get excited about Witcher 4, and I believe this DLC will have some story connection to whatever happens in Witcher 4. The short version for a non-Witcher person is that Ciri is the secondary protagonist behind Geralt.
Mm-hmm.
She is like the ward or apprentice of Geralt, but she's very powerful in The Witcher 2 and 3. And then as The Witcher 3 closes out, it's kind of like, all right, Geralt is kind of wrapping up his career or riding off into the sunset, and Ciri is now taking on the mantle of like our main protagonist. And then when they revealed The Witcher 4, they showed and clearly are saying that Ciri is the new protagonist in the next chapter.
Wow.
So what this DLC is going to do is probably tee up Ciri as whatever happens between Witcher 3 and Witcher 4 is this new DLC, which is I'm all for it. I think this is going to be awesome, and I will probably play it, except for some fucking reason the DLC version will require a Windows 11 if you're playing on PC, which I cannot install because I do not have the TPM security chip in my machine. So in theory,
Uh,
I own and can play all of The Witcher 3 except this new DLC, which is weird to me, but that's who knows what computer I will have by the time this comes out. We'll see. But yeah, I mean I think people were like really taken aback at how crazy it is to put out like not just like, oh, here's a couple new capes and hats. Download now. It's like this is
no,
an
this is like a
entire
whole
chapter.
new thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's wild.
it's cool.
So,
But anyway,
yeah.
I don't know. Anything else to talk about in the news before we hop on over
No,
to video games?
I think it's time for us to talk about games.
Let's talk about games. I have two games to talk about. I think you're focusing on one primarily, which I am very excited to hear about. Do you? Maybe we'll break up mine. I'll start.
Yeah, yeah. You start and talk about your first one, and then I'll go to mine, and then we'll finish with yeah.
Um, my first game is a game called Dungeon Settlers. This is an indie. This is made by either a small studio, probably one person. One person who goes by Can Opener in Discord. I don't know where I found this game, but I have been in the Discord for the game for a long time. And for a long time, they have been putting builds of the game on their website or whatever, or on GitHub for like, hey, check out the new build. And I'm really not a like, let me download an exe from a website kind of guy anymore. Haven't been for
Fair,
decades.
fair.
So I've been kind of following this game here and there, but then very recently they released a proper demo on Steam, and it is out now, and it is incredibly robust. And I'm glad I waited to play this build of the game because I love this game so fucking much, and the timing of this game is awesome because it has no controller support. It is very mouse and keyboard. It is definitely a like use your mouse and keyboard shortcuts to manage your colony. And it is a game that is made for me, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But I really would not really be able to access it or play it the way I like, except for having my baby, my Steam controller, in my back pocket. Dungeon Settlers is, let's call it, a cross between RimWorld and it's RimWorld Lite. It is much less simulation intensive than RimWorld is, but it is very, very RimWorld in its mechanics, combined with dungeon expeditions where you leave your base and your colony and send your colonists out onto dungeon crawling missions, a la Darkest Dungeon, though it is different in format, where your characters have to eat and sleep and heal, and they can die permanently on these expeditions. And so I love that. And then also it is vaguely Core Keeper, which I know you played a lot
I
of in
liked
your
Core
time.
Keeper.
I liked it too, but I didn't stick with it. Um,
Yeah, we stuck with it for a little while, but then we eventually did fall off.
yep,
Although I'm curious, just looking at this, okay, so it's single player. I'm like,
it's
man,
single
this
player.
seems like it would be fun with other people, but I guess maybe that's not
It's
something they're
really
planning.
not, because it's you do not control your characters. It is a colony sim where you are giving orders and priorities to your colony workers
Mm,
and party. So it is this perfect mashup. The reason I love it so much is it is this perfect mashup of like, I'm upgrading a tech tree and building structures and making sure my colonists' needs are met so they can be productive and happy and fed. But in order to get the resources for my colony, I need to send them out on dangerous dungeon crawling missions where things can go, depending on how deep I'd go, things can go bad, and that can lead to injuries, sickness, starvation, fatigue,
mm,
and I need to know when to cut my losses and get back home to rest and recuperate and heal in order
okay.
to then so in a way it is almost like an extraction game where you need to figure out when to leave the dungeon to get back safely. And for all these reasons I really really love it. So it's a very pixel art game. It has this very Amiga, Commodore. We've talked about it before, where it's like the sprites are very blocky, but in a really cool, pretty way.
I like the art too, like
The
the
art's
actual
great.
art of like the characters and stuff.
Yes, the
That's
character
really cool.
portraits
That's really
are
nice.
great. So it does a really good job of like, you start in the RimWorld does this too, but you start to really rely on, you're investing very deeply in these colonist characters that have different skills and different abilities and different like talents. And then when you send them off on dangerous missions, you are very like cautious because you know if something goes wrong, like, and you lose somebody, your colony will be hamstrung. And there's a mechanic where you can recruit new adventurers, but you want to keep them safe. You want to protect them because you get to know and love them. So you're sort of gathering them as a party and clicking the mouse to tell them where to go, and then triggering their abilities to sort of say, do this AoE attack, do this bum rush just to stun your enemy. And it kind of has this classic dungeon crawler format, but you are gathering those resources to then bring back to your camp to both level up your heroes and also to advance the research tree to build a bigger base and research new technologies so you can go deeper into the dungeon. And the core dungeon mechanic is like, you enter the dungeon and you have to find a portal in that level of the dungeon, and when you
Mm,
arrive at that portal you're like, okay, is our party still healthy enough to go down one level? Should we press our luck and try to go down, or should we use the portal to go back to base? And that push and pull, risk and reward, is kind of a little bit of the extraction, because the portal is the
okay.
extraction point, and you have to decide if you want to go further or call it a day, bring those resources back, huddle up a little bit, and you really do reach not a dead end, but like an end point on any of your base building that's like, oh man, like I literally don't have enough wood or fabric or whatever to build this thing or research this technology, so I have to go back in to the dungeon. And I
Hmm.
presume, I haven't gotten that far, but like I presume once you have a like a thriving colony of like 8, 10 colonists, you can then pick and choose which 4 go out on the adventure. Currently I only have 4, but I
And probably
like the
like how to best like choose them for the adventure you're going on and that kind of
correct.
stuff.
Exactly. It's like, oh man, I
Huh.
got to go to level 6 and that's really dangerous. So I really need to bring maybe like a really good spellcaster and a ranged guy and a tank. And maybe I'm letting my other colonists like rest and recuperate while I bring these new recruits, but I have to make sure the new recruits are leveling up. So maybe I'm bringing a new recruit along with a level 5 tank in there to make sure they're protected. And yeah, I get. There's not much more to say about it other than like it really marries the like dungeon crawler risk reward
Yeah.
with that colony survival aspect, and it does all parts of that right. And I've probably played like 20 hours of this, and I'm like,
Did
is
you
this a
buy it?
demo? It's not out. It's going to be out in like October.
Oh, so you played that much of the
This
demo.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm like, is this demo gonna like end, or am I gonna hit a wall? Like, I have not gotten through the same or the full tech tree. I have not lost any colonists yet. I have not gone deep enough to where I'm really like struggling. Um, yeah, so I just love it. And so if this appeals to you, the one other thing I'll say is like it's like that pause and play. So it's like, okay, I want to like pause the game. I want my colonists to build this. I want to use this resource. I want to like craft a few weapons, and I want to like whatever. And then you just hit go, and your colonists will just do all the things based on their priorities and skills. And then
Hmm.
it's similar when you're in the dungeon of like, I want my party to go here, and I want to gather this resource, and I want to like peek into this room. And then you hit go, and they all do the orders that you've given them. And then it's like, oh shit, there's a group of enemies. All right, let's drill down and say, okay, you move here, you attack this guy, you attack this guy, you use this ability, and go. And it's this like, it's real time, but it's like pause and go kind of real time. And
Huh.
this is the format of RimWorld as well. You can pause the action at any time and give your commands, and then let the simulation play out. And I am such a fan of this style. But if RimWorld or Dwarf Fortress is too overwhelming for you, and it is, these are overwhelming games. The sort of the simulation depth and the worker priority stuff is so simplified that this game becomes super chill. It's kind of just like build these things with whatever resources are laying around, and the colonists are like cool, and they just do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because looking at this, this actually feels approachable and somewhat attractive to me, which typically these games feel too complex to me and I feel a
Super
bit overwhelmed.
approachable.
But I feel like this is, and especially hearing how long the demo is, I might actually grab this today and try it
I think you should
myself.
try it out. And I maybe and a Steam Deck is great, but it is mouse and keyboard, etc. But like, just to put a finer point on it, if you were to start RimWorld, and you'd have to do a lot of sort of learning and tutorials, whatever. But what happens in a RimWorld or Dwarf Fortress is like, all right, I want to build like a barrel and a workbench, and you set it up, and you're like, okay, build it, and you press play, and the workers just like wander around and don't build it. And I'm like, well, there's wood and iron over here, so like, what the fuck, why won't they build it? And it's because two of your workers don't have a high enough construction ability, and there's wood over here, but it's not put in a storage, and it's in the storage, but the storage has not been white labeled for wood. So you have to go into the storage menu and say like, you can put wood in here, but you can't put leaves. And there's like all these like really granular like worker priority systems that are preventing this guy from just fucking building a bench. And the reason those systems are in there is because this is a very granular simulated game about what you can and cannot do at any given juncture. And I'm here to tell
Huh.
you that Dungeon Settlers is just like, build a bench. And they're just like, cool, man, here you go. There's wood on the floor. I don't care. It's wood. Let's
Just
just do
build
it.
it.
Just go. And it's built. And then you move on to the whatever the next thing you want to do is. And in that way, it is the same like mechanics of a Rim world, but without the like modular complexity of that game. So if this appeals to you, I really love it. Like, I was expecting to play this as a demo, being like, yeah, it's cool, it's
It's cool,
cool. I'll check
but
it out when it
yeah.
comes out. But I'm like playing it almost every night, and I really, really love
Wow.
this game. It's great.
I'll be curious where the content ends, but
Yeah, I'll
it
let
looks
you
like it's
know.
coming out in September, so you'll have some time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So that's Dungeon Settlers. We'll put a link in the video description and the show notes. But now I am speaking of setting up little shops and simulation games and all this stuff. Let's talk about what you got into. That's not Resident Evil for once.
Yes. Yes, it is not Resident Evil. So we don't record on Sundays often, but since
Yeah.
today we are, it gives me an opportunity to say that one of my favorite things on a Sunday is to, wake up, feed my cats, get my tea or whatever, and then like just enjoy playing a video game. And this is often a time where I'll actually like pop in and like have time to like, check out demos or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's like, 9 a.m. I don't really want to get into Resident Evil right now. I've been, as a quick note, I've been playing, Sky and I are still playing 5. We're almost done. And then I decided to start playing 1, which I skipped in order when I was starting because I wanted to go right from Requiem, which is heavily based on Leon and has a lot of stuff tied back to 2. I wanted to go right from 9 to 2 because there's, I don't want to really spoil, but there's something key that you see in 9 that the original things that you're seeing happen in 2. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me want to go right back. So I actually did that.
1 has been remade.
1.
What are we talking about here? Okay.
1 was remade in, I think, 2015 or 2016. So it's a decade old.
We did touch on this
it's
previously.
In my opinion, still looks pretty good. It has such a different pace. Like, it is glacial compared to like what happened to the series later. And it's you very much see why it became like what it became. Like there's really, the pacing is part of the reason why it has such a scary feel. Okay. Like it is mood.
Yeah, but like, you're saying this in a good way. The slowness is totally. not a drawback.
But you have to be in the mood for that. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be like, I really want to play this game where like, you're going very slowly. Like it depends on the mood. Like last night, randomly, I was like sitting in front of the computer, like, what do I want to play? And I ended up playing like a couple of rounds of Hades because I was like, I just want something real skippy.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so this morning I was like, don't really want to play Resident Evil right now. Thrifty Business I have kind of topped out on, which is a shame because there comes a point where there's really nothing else to do. Yeah. And it is not an early access game. This is the game. Yeah. So as cute as it is, there's something kind of missing for me to keep me playing, I guess is a good way to put it. And it's kind of a shame because I think it is a darling and well executed game. And I wish I wanted to play it more.
We talked about it last time and I did mention it to my wife. I was like, oh, there's like a 90s thrift store game on Steam. Like, what do you think about that? She's like, oh yeah, whoa, that sounds cool. I was like, but Colette says like, you're really not min-maxing and you're not like gaining money and resources to upgrade. And she's like, who cares?
Right. And so what's interesting about that is they purposely obviously wanted to keep that out. Like, because the idea was that it was stressful. But I think by keeping it out, they kind of, you hit a point where you're like, well, I've decorated all the decorations I want to decorate. And I've gotten all the, things in the store that I want to get. And you just like kind of hit this wall where you're like, I want something else to do and it's not there.
Totally.
So great game for about 8 hours, 6 hours, however long I enjoyed it. Very good loop, but that was the issue I had. So I'm sitting there this morning like, what should I play? Like, what am I in the mood for? And I have a bunch of the demos I've installed. I have like I let them put like an icon on my desktop. So I'll just have a bunch of icons sitting there. And I just quickly noticed Retro Rewind this morning. And I was like, I never got to that. I really wanted to get to that. Yes, it does. So for anyone who's not familiar with it, Retro Rewind it's set in the 90s. And the equivalent is that you run not Blockbuster, but like one of the little like privately owned video stores.
Video store, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, gosh, I mean, I am old enough where going to Blockbuster on Friday night was an event and it was a part of our family's life for quite a long time. And even after I got older and started renting my own movies, I discovered anime at Blockbuster, which I've said here before on the podcast, and like got my whole like formative education about anime thanks to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Same thing with foreign movies. I got really into foreign movies because of Blockbuster and saw all these classics. So I have all these fond feelings about it, right? had a crush on the guy that worked there for a couple of years, like stuff like that.
Man, you're
So
making
that,
me realize how video stores made media really accessible to American audiences. That because like
yeah,
if you turn on the TV, you just get whatever's on the six channels, and that's what you
yeah.
get. There is nothing. You have no other choices. Same with the movie theater or the radio, but with video rental, there are sections for things you may not encounter, and that's
And you
profound,
spent
as a matter of fact.
time browsing in a way that our attention spans have now been like completely hijacked by social media. And so whether you're on Netflix or any other streaming service, you're going to be on any possible movie you might think about for like 2 to 3 seconds
Sure.
tops. But like when you went to Blockbuster, you picked a movie up, you read the back, you thought about it, maybe even got into a conversation with the person next to
Mm,
you. Oh, I've seen that, it's really good. Do you
yeah,
like
sure.
fantasy movies? And like stuff like that.
Ooh, that's a good point about this. Well, we've talked about this.
Or
I think about it a
and it
lot.
it's in this game, which I love, for
Ah,
especially for the mom and pops. These places were often run by people who loved movies, who were
yes,
obsessive. And
sure.
so you could be, and this is in the game too, that someone might be like, I'm taking a film class and they want us to watch an old horror movie. Like, do you have anything you would
They
recommend?
are
And so you
the customers are asking you for recommendations as the shop owner.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so
man.
I love that touch because that's very ideal. Like that's very not ideal, realistic to like what it was like. But let me back up a little bit.
I don't want to
So
derail you, but I just want to say because everything comes in a faceless package and everything is streamed and everything, we do not interact with other humans as much as we did
yes, correct.
15 years ago. And I'm trying not to be an old man about that because let me tell you something. I do not like interacting with humans. I do not want to do small talk with strangers that I don't care about. But we are disconnected in a way. We are not encountering other people in a way that is clearly having effects on our society. And so
Yes,
there
I
you
agree
go.
with that. And it is part of the nostalgia that I have for this particular era of media consumption. As much as I too don't love other people, it was a delight to meet someone else in the anime aisle, which by the
Hmm.
by had about 20 movies in it.
Yeah,
Like it was tiny.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like to meet someone else there to be like, oh, she's got a cool hoodie on. Maybe she likes,
Totally
and then be like, oh, did you see that one? That's just something that,
love it.
yeah, it's absent now, but it's in this game.
We do
So,
look. We do this on the internet, and that's fine. That's what the internet is
right,
for. We go into the
right.
discords and subreddits to be like, hey, what do you think of this? But we're not
It's
exposed
not the same.
to human
It,
faces that may or may not disagree or challenge us.
well, complete strangers, that's
Mhm.
to me a really important one.
Yeah.
Like, we know everyone in our Discord. You would have these conversations with complete strangers.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this would
yeah, yeah.
also happen to me at the bookstore,
Yeah,
which,
sure.
I can still go to the bookstore and every
Well,
once in a while it will still happen.
I
But
am having conversations with complete strangers on the internet all the time in other internet
that's true.
modalities. But to your point, it's like you did not come into the video store expecting to have a conversation, and then a conversation organically happens, and you look another human being in the eye, and you were like, oh, maybe I will, and you are thinking about the media that you're touching in a way that's different from like I want this. Reddit is this good? And the Reddit will say, yes, it's good. And then I will get the thing that I already thought to get because Reddit said it was good.
Right.
It's just different.
Yeah, it's just different. But so when you look at this game on Steam, you see like these very like filled out like video stores that have, like neon decor and like all these separate sections. I just want to stress that when you play the demo, if you play the demo, that is not what you're going to get.
Yeah,
You
you're
are going to
starting
get
from
one plain empty room where you're
uh,
like, okay, and you have to build your like first shelves and you have to buy all your movies and then you have to choose. The movies have tags. So,
yeah.
it'll be like old, horror, drama. I just opened sci-fi in the demo before I got to the end of the demo. So like you start opening your sections, right? So I think it's nice because when you see these pictures on Steam, you're like, oh, okay, I get a feel for where I could go. But the demo is pretty simple. It's going to really just give you the feeling of the very beginning and of what you can do. And I noticed very quickly that at first I felt like it kind of feels like an early access game,
Okay.
like a lot of the models of the people that come in the store are the same. They're not wearing very different clothing. I realize this is very picky, but I'm going to be picky
Yeah, yeah,
because
no, I
I'm
am
going to
interested in this deeply.
I'm gonna be.
Yep.
And I noticed that in their roadmap, they have a ton of plans, and like several of them are like wider selection of movies, wider
Okay.
selection of people models, more events, etc. So they have quite a few things planned. So one of my big pieces of advice before I go further into how it plays is if you're interested in this, I would highly recommend that you do not buy it until they flesh out more of what it has to offer, because according to the reviews, I think you can get up to like level 20. So in the demo, you can play 7 days, and
Okay.
then you can actually keep playing, but you stop earning experience,
I see.
and you need that.
Yeah.
But if you're actually playing, you buy the full game, which I think is $20.
Well, no, it is not
Is it
$20.
not?
It is $19.90.
Oh yes,
$19.90.
thank you for
As
clarifying
I
that,
was
Don, for
as I
me.
was looking as you were talking, I'm like, oh, okay, the demo, and I scroll down to the price, and I laughed out loud. That's just perfect.
1990. They even put that in there.
God
So
bless them.
mechanics. Okay, so yeah, you have your beginner store. Mouse and keys. As far as I know, it does not have
It
controller
does not
support.
have
I don't
controller
think.
support. So
I
like,
don't know
yeah,
if
so
they. I
are
didn't
you?
see that in their roadmap, so I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
hope
they
they
plan
add
on
it,
adding
but
that.
I'm gonna think about Steam controller here. But like, are you walking around in first
Yes.
person? Okay, so you can like
Yes.
you're in the store. You're not like stuck at the desk. Okay, that's
No, no,
cool.
no, no, no. So basically, when you start, you're going to have to buy, and all this is very conveniently placed, right? So just like a real store. So, like, you'll go in the back room, and there'll be a computer where you order your tapes, your furniture, your decor, whatever. Then there's going to be a calendar. The calendar will show you, like, oh, a new release
New
is coming out
releases,
this day. Everyone's going to be looking
yeah.
for it. So you might want to buy this many copies and put them on the shelf. And if you buy 5 copies of the movie, we'll give you a free standee to put in your
Yeah.
store, right? So okay, so this happened on like day 4. So you buy all your stuff, you go and you set up your store, you get to set up the layout however you want. And it does some smart little things, like as you're putting, like for instance, I put one horror movie on a shelf and it automatically tagged it as horror, so
Okay.
it's like smart like that. Or if you put multiple ones on a shelf, it'll call it mixed.
Oh,
um
okay, okay.
so yeah, so like at
And
first, of
are you
course, you're
incentivized to like make categories? Is that better for the customers or something?
yes,
Or yeah,
they like it
they
better
like
if it's
categorization.
organized,
Yeah, good.
and you'll get XP based on that. So then after you order everything, there's another adjacent room to the office room, and that's like the break room / back room. And that is where all your orders show up. So you'll get your boxes with
Yeah.
your furniture, you'll get your movies, and then there's a back door which leads to something which we'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
So you'll set everything up, you'll get your stuff ready. You'll notice behind the counter that you have like machines for like popcorn and Slurpees and stuff like that, but you won't unlock that till later.
Okay.
I unlocked the Slurpees at the end of the demo, but I can imagine that once everything is open and people are like, I want 3 movies and also a popcorn and also a raspberry Slurpee, you're going
Hell
to
yeah.
be like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
I did notice, and this is not in the demo, that you can hire employees.
Yes, I see that. There's like job applications or something, which I
yes, and
freaking
it
love.
cracked me up that one of the people that applies, one of their traits is strong bladder, meaning they won't have to go to the bathroom often. I was like, okay, that's funny. So yeah, that hasn't opened yet, but obviously it's going to get to a point of busyness where you're going to need more help because it's clear that you're going to get there. Like
Right.
if you see some of these photos, you're like, oh my God, that's actually, the store is big. Like it's going to get much bigger. So yes, you're going to need help when you
I'm
get to that
so
point.
pleased to hear that like there are rich shopkeeping mechanics of like
Yeah.
you need to order your supply, you need to make investments in the store with the right
Mhm.
releases, and then you have to set it up, which is I think the draw of this game is like you're setting up your dream video shop.
You are.
But then you have to like please the customers with the
You do.
right products and recommendations, right?
And so there's more. They quickly, okay, so at the end of every shift, you get your money, and the next day starts, and the next day you're not open yet, but you have some things you need to do beforehand. You need to make sure the shelves are stocked, obviously, because who wants to come in the video store with 5 movies to rent? You have to go through all the returned videos that went into the slot. Some of them are not rewound, so you have to manually rewind them with a rewinder.
Yay.
Some are broken, so you have to put those into a garbage slot, or apparently they just added a new mechanic
repairing.
where you can fix them, which that wasn't in the demo.
Okay.
And
so repair desk update came out May 11th. So they are
So
and they're adding.
I would have to buy the game to get to that point.
I don't know if this is in the game yet, but they are adding video game rentals to the
store, which I was really charmed by that because I just think it's really adorable. And then another thing they added that I thought was very interesting, I mean, it makes sense, but still, is some people will return stuff late. When you're at the desk, like checking things in, it'll be like late fee. They'll put it on the account. Then like when you tell the customer when they come back, they'll be like, wow, like today I had one and it was like, wow, you're really trying to like wring every dollar out of the customer. And you can either choose to charge them or choose to waive it.
Like waive it, yeah.
And I was like, fuck you. You fucking returned my thing late. I'm not waiving it. And then she goes, well, okay, you're right. I shouldn't have returned it late. But like, I guess that could maybe affect some customers and make them not want to come back.
So my question there is, are there sort of like affinity bars or graphs that are like, this customer paid, but now they're like unhappy and
not
they're
that
less...
I saw, but
okay,
mind
so
you, 7 days. Yeah. It could be. Like, I didn't see, like, I mean, I haven't gone through every detail of what they've got written here, but I would assume there has to be like something because I don't know. I guess we'll see.
The question that's coming to mind for me is like, how does repeat business work? Meaning I'm seeing screenshots where it's like, hey, please recommend me a movie that does this, and this. And so my question is like, if you recommend the perfect movie and they are, because the customer doesn't know if they are satisfied until they go home and watch the movie, right? Or are you getting points for like choosing the right product and then it's like, cha-ching, you did it. You know what I mean?
It doesn't really say in the features if that's going to be a thing. I don't know if I have to look and see if it's on the roadmap. I don't know.
Right.
It does say, which I didn't notice, seasons, weather, and holidays affect gameplay and what your customers rent. So that will affect things, but I don't know about if it improves relationships. I think it should.
It should, meaning like...
I think it should.
Hey, I want a horror movie, and you give them a thriller, but it's not a horror. Like, you still make the money, but is there a penalty for that? You get less experience? Do you get less affinity to the customer? Yeah.
That is a very good question and something that I want to dig a little and see if I can find the answer. But I personally think it should. So that's just my opinion. So in the 7 days that I played, I got to, it was still my one room. Making money off the rip I forgot one mechanic. So if the store slows down a little bit, you have a little like stand of flyers for your brand new video store and you can run outside and like give those out to people.
Nice. Yeah.
And some people be like, oh, cool. I love movies. And then today I gave one to a guy and he's like, yeah, I'm not coming. I hate movies. And I was like, how depressing for you.
I hate movies. I love it. Yes.
I was like, okay. But it seems to me like, I mean, I don't want to say that it would not be worth it to buy it now, but I think my impression was that it's clear there's going to be so much more added. And I've talked about on this podcast, frustrations with like really loving a game and then hitting the wall of the end of the content.
Yes.
So personally for me, I would say I had a lot of fun playing it. I will probably buy it later. I could buy it now to support the devs, but I would really prefer to wait until I can do some of the things that they have in their roadmap.
You did not encounter any game rentals in the demo, it sounds like.
No.
That's not part of it yet? I can't tell if it's part of the game, part of the
full
build.
I think they said in April that they announced that they were going to add that.
Right, okay.
So yeah, I don't think I think they are just deciding, so yeah, I don't think that it would be in the demo at this point.
Now,
Um,
are you aware that people have, I would say within days of this thing coming out, that people have made mods where you can put real movies, real movie
no,
covers
that's
into the
so
game. So there
fun.
are hardcore people who are like, just for people who may not be looking at it right now, there are sort of like tongue in cheek homage, not parody, but like there's clearly a VHS cover that's like, well, this is Ghostbusters, but it's not. They can't say the word
Right.
Ghostbusters on the movie, so
Right.
it's
So
something
it's
else.
just it's Ghostbusters looking.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. This is so spectacular. But people, hardcore people, have gone to the length to substitute all the art with pulling art from like movie databases so that you can give people Friday
That's
the
so
13th and
cool.
Ghostbusters and Gremlins and whatever else you want to do here. And tagging it appropriately based on the database so that it's showing up in the right genre on the right shelf. And God
It's
love
really,
them.
really, really fun. Yeah, I feel like this could get really rich as you get further. And that's part of the reason why I don't want to buy it now and feel, hit the wall and go, oh, now I have to wait. Because when that happened to me with Coral Island, like, I
Yeah.
was like, well, I got to go find something else to play. And even though it's a Stardew clone, like I still kind of came back and was like, what was going on? Who was I dating? What was my, what was my next task? Like it's not easy for me to re-engage. And so I would prefer to just wait and engage when,
Same.
I mean, it may not be complete, but like if they're like, okay, yeah, the roadmap is we've gotten, all this stuff done, then it would be
I
so
mean,
like I followed it.
it's not
It's
in
on the
early
wish list.
access. Like obviously they're adding stuff, which is
They're
awesome, but
adding stuff, but like the fully released, game is what you get.
yeah.
But I did notice, because I was curious after playing the demo, like, well, how deep into this can you get? Someone said
The end game of this game should be that you build the store large enough with a large enough selection and large enough and happy clientele that the final boss is selling out to Blockbuster, and
that would
you're
be
out.
amazing.
You cash out of the business and retire, and that's the end roll credits. That should
That
be
would
the
be
end game
great.
of this game,
I
which
would
is
love
against the
that.
spirit of the game because it's supposed to be a mom and pop store, but
But
that is
still,
the inevitable. You look, you either get put out of business. So okay, I'm sure this is not in the game, but like there should be like a JojaMart competitor to your shop that you
I
have to
agree with
make
that too.
sure that you stay ahead of them. Like you have to like treat your customer. You have to be price sensitive. You have to be welcoming or have really good recommendations so your customers stop going to Blockbuster and come to you instead.
Right. I agree with that. And actually, you just reminded me that I forgot one really funny thing about the demo,
Mhm.
which is that I think like on the third or fourth day, you hear like a knocking in the middle of the shift, and you're like, what? Like there's a bunch of people in here. So if you wait until you close the door, but you don't necessarily end the day yet, so like, or actually no, can you close the door? I think so, but I think when you close the door, the day automatically ends. So you have to just wait till everybody leaves, and then you run to your back room where you get your shipments, and the back door is like cracked. So you go back there, and there's a fucking shady ass guy in the alley that's
Oh, I
like
see this screenshot.
got some bootleg, like, and
Yeah.
it's all porn. It's all porn.
Oh,
It's all
really?
adult. And so,
That is
so I bought it
great.
all. He comes every Tuesday and Thursday, and you can buy from him. But here's the kicker. The kicker is, and I think this is like something that while it's small, it would have been really funny. The kicker is that you can put the adult movies right in the store with everything else. And we all know that the adult room was like a private
You
room in
need to put
Blockbuster.
the swinging doors, the saloon
Right.
doors, or a curtain. We know this.
Right. So I was like, this is cool, but also like you need to let me build the adult room because it's not true to form unless
Oh,
we
you're
have the
saying
adult
that
room.
that the separate area is not in the game? Like you
Not at
can't.
the stage I'm
Not.
at. I mean, maybe as you
No.
expand, you can build it, but like
Hey,
you just put that shit on your shelf and it just is like, this is the adult section. And I'm like right out in
no.
the middle of everything with no
Sorry.
curtain.
Look, this game is overwhelmingly positive on Steam, and based on this conversation, this was a 10 out of 10. But if you don't let me put a saloon door with to the adult section,
You have to,
literally
man.
game breaking, zero out of
You
ten,
have to
unplayable.
like, but the fact that he's like out there next to like bags of trash is like hilarious. Like I was like,
Uh,
oh my god, this is so great. So who
Wait,
knows? Like maybe as you expand, you're
I
able
hope
to
so.
do that.
Question about that. So, if I'm playing this in the living room, what are we talking about when I'm getting these adult like what do the covers
Oh
look like
no.
and what do they say on them?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
Like
not. I mean, it's you click it, you look at it. There's no nudity
no,
or
right.
anything
But
on the
there's like
cover,
how
but
euphemistic are these movie titles here? Are we
I
talking?
don't think it. I don't think it would. It's not anything that would not be okay for kids
Okay.
to see.
Yeah.
But and then the tag just says adult. That's really the only way you know.
Got
So
it.
now, I mean, mind you, played a demo. Only saw a few days. I only saw the guy twice because a Tuesday and a Thursday passed. So maybe later he has saucier options. But
Sorry, the Ghostbusters parody is called Phantom Patrol. That's the Ghostbusters movie. And to your point earlier, like clearly they're like there's when Halloween comes around, you're like putting
you
the new
can
release, the
decorate.
horror and the Ghostbusters up front on the new release shelf because everyone wants the spooky stuff. And goddamn,
Yeah.
I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it delivered in my opinion. I mean, and another thing I thought was, well, if I buy it now and it doesn't have all the content that I want, maybe it will help support the developers to get
sure,
more of their roadmap done. And, that did appeal to me because it's not a very expensive game.
yeah,
And I don't know if there's anything else like this on the market, but
no, I don't
I
think so.
yeah, it's obviously it just hits such a
Like
big
shopkeeping
nostalgia.
games are out there, but this is very specific, and it's just
Yeah, and they
they
do have a Discord too, I noticed. So I was like, maybe I'll hop in the Discord and like see what's going on with, their future plans and what they're going to do next with it because yeah, I just, it'd be really cool. They composed all their own like original music for
oh,
it. Like it's
wonderful.
really yeah, it's cool. So I did really enjoy myself. Um and I really think that it's fun if this is a memory that you have of a real time period in your own life.
My hesitation with this was that I assumed it was not mechanically dense, and I think what you're saying is that
Mm-mm.
you really do have to
I
like
think it is.
you have to dig in on making sure customers are happy and they're getting what they want, and that's
I
great.
mean, personally, I feel like I only scraped the surface of how
Great.
mechanically dense it actually was going to become. Um, so yeah, like I, yeah, that's my take on it.
I think
You
I'm
know,
gonna fire this up with Steam Controller to see. God bless him for making a demo because you said this earlier and it made me think like I am suddenly drowning in demos. Like so many games that I'm interested in suddenly have demos, and so there are like tons. Well, it's two things actually. One is lots of demos are out that I'm very interested in, and there are lots of games on my wish list and in demo form that's like, well, these don't have controller support, so I guess I'll just skip them. And now that I have the Steam controller, I am playing like Dungeon Settlers is a great example. Like I said, of like I probably wouldn't have gone hard on that unless because there's no controller support. But I am now. It's like my favorite game right now that I'm playing because I can do it from the couch. And
right,
so
right.
this so videos retro rewind, ha ha ha, cute cute cute. That seems cool, but no control support. Well, wish list, skip, look at it another time. And now
Yep.
I'm like, am I going to play this tonight? Because I can, because I will.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
great.
that yeah, I mean it's free to play this demo and I think that you would absolutely enjoy what is there to try. I was tempted to just straight buy it, but I'm hell bent on the Resident Evil thing, and I also want to wait until, I want them to add a few more of the things that I saw on the roadmap.
Yeah.
So, um, Yeah, but I will be very interested to hear if you do fire it up. I want to hear what you
I
think
love that they
too.
have a roadmap too. I'm just really, it's nice because this so easily could have been like, yeah, decorate your store and do it's remember videos, and that could have kind of been the whole game, like almost like Thrifty Business of like it's such a cute concept and it's such a lovely idea, but mechanically really didn't pull you in.
Yeah, that is something with wholesome games I've definitely noticed. There are
I know,
some that are like, we want you to have this calming experience. And I'm like, I totally get that. And sometimes I want it, but most of the time I really want to accomplish goals.
correct. Being
So,
absorbed in complex mechanics is very comforting and very pulling my busy mind into something that is not the shit show of our world or lives is what I want from video games. And if your game doesn't have it, then I need to get in there.
I
I need to skip
also dropped you a link to there is
the
a
subreddit.
Reddit sub for
Yeah.
it, and I think that other than the funny things, there are some more
People are
reviews. There are some
making
more.
spreadsheets about which candy is the most cost effective, and now I'm fully fucking min maxing the shit out of this.
Also, there's a screen cap of a woman being like, "I'm stuck babysitting tonight. Can you give me an old movie that's an adult film?" And I'm like, she wants a vintage porn film.
To watch while she's
What?
babysitting kids, like,
Right?
oh,
I'm like, she what? So yeah. But yeah.
you could, can you?
Anyway,
It seems like you can name your video store. Did you name it? Did you name yours?
I didn't realize I could name it.
I
I
don't
think
know if
it's
that's
just called
true.
Retro
Okay,
Rewind.
I'm seeing maybe people are modding their game. I have no idea what
That
I'm
could
looking
that
at,
could
but
exactly be it. Yeah. So, but now that you've told me that people are like, yeah, because they are, because I see this in the sub too. So now that I'm seeing that, I'm like, okay, maybe I can go see like what mods people have put out there because I kind of am curious about it. There is a thread about waiving the fees. People asking like,
does it
do the
affect
people come back? And
loyalty? Mm-hmm.
it says, I find if they have a new release, they'll pay the fee without pushing all the tapes on the floor. So I guess some people can get upset and throw tapes on the floor. God, please let that be true because that's going to be funny as hell.
I'm trying to zoom in on the adult section. It's hard. They don't look like anything
No.
sexy. They just look like
Yeah, they were just kind of like regular, like nothing sounded super spicy.
yeah. I think I
So
gotta. I'm really glad you did this because I really wrote this off as like, nah. Sickos are gonna love this and that's fine, but that's not for me. And now I feel like I gotta get in here. Yeah.
yeah, I think you might really enjoy it. And like so far to me, it seems like it will be robust. It just needs to. I think that I personally am like, I don't know. Like, so if you end up buying it, I'll be really curious to see like how far you
I'll
can
let you
develop it
know.
because I
Yes.
mean, the
Yeah.
screenshots make it look like you can get a pretty big store
Oh,
going.
there's tons. Like the decorations and the sections and yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
just
anyway,
can't tell what is modded and what is in the game from the subreddit. So I'm gonna
I
close
can't
that
either.
and go in with an open mind. Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. It was really, really fun.
Oh, all right. To close this out, let's talk about 007. This game is so fucking cool, man. God
So,
damn.
question before you start: were you a big Bond fan before getting this game, or not really?
I'm really I'm not hardcore with Bond, but when there's a good Bond movie that is getting good reviews and Daniel Craig is like a cool dude. And
Yeah,
I think part of this is like, my wife is not necessarily going to jump in on like all the Star Wars action whatever, but like she is down with Mission Impossible. She is down with James Bond. So I feel like there have been multiple Bond movies where it'll come out on streaming and we'll be like, should we watch that Bond movie? And we're like, yeah. And then we'll watch him. We're like, yeah, man, James Bond
Mm.
fucking rules. Are you a Bond fan, watcher, casual, anything?
No, I mean I've seen a couple of. I don't remember what the name of the first Daniel Craig Bond was,
Mm-hmm.
but
Oh,
I saw
Casino
that one in the
Royale.
theater. Casino Royale. I saw that in the theater. I thought it was good. I've seen a couple of the like OG Bond movies
Sure.
when I was growing up, but I feel extremely like take them or leave them about it.
Sure.
If it's on or if someone invited me to the movies, I'd watch it. But to me, Bond is a very polished like male fantasy series. It's
Yes.
absolutely like I have cool guns and hot chicks and I get to do
100%.
fun stuff. And that's fine because there's plenty of, female fantasies too. So
But I
um
think why I am drawn to it, besides being a man who likes looking at guns and gadgets and boobs, is that
and cars. Don't forget the really cool
I
cars.
mean, look, great action sequences are really fun. I don't particularly care about cars, but obviously Bond and cars is a whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
I what I'm realizing as I occasionally watch modern Bond movies and now playing this game is that I feel like they have done a great job of bringing this franchise into the modern world. And I don't just mean like, oh, they use modern tech. I mean like James Bond can still be sexy and fun and actiony without being misogynistic and sex and sort of broy. You know what it is?
Yeah.
I think Bond is can be masculine without being broy. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
And so I think if
And I will say as a disclaimer that that is what women find really attractive
that's what I'm
is
saying. Yeah.
that kind of, expression of masculinity versus like
That's
it's
and
definitely
I think that's why Bond is accessible to women as opposed I'm trying to I don't okay, like the Fast and the Furious. I have no interest in the Fast and the Furious.
yeah,
I've never seen one, and I'm sure there are many women who love the Fast and the Furious. But to me, the Fast and the Furious is an action movie for bros, and
right.
Bond is an action movie for sophisticated gentlemen who want to see things blow up. And
I
I
mean
am a sophisticated, educated gentleman who wants to see things explode.
I mean, I will tell you that while that is partially true, there are plenty of bros that are also perfectly interested in Bond because
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
boobs and cars and guns.
I
But
have not
yes,
seen old
a
Bond,
different vibe.
but I think what I also appreciate is that I think if we were to go back and watch Sean Connery Bond, 1960s Bond, it will have all those things, but it will be very slow and it will be very like I'm a man and ladies are off to the side
Yes,
doing eye
it is.
candy things.
That I can
And
tell you for sure because I
for
have
sure.
seen a few Sean Connery Bonds,
And
and I mean, it's a product of the era.
modern Bond is like ladies are sexy, but ladies are also like the villains, or they are other agents, or they are your sort of rivals or companions in a platonic way that is like
Right.
cool and exciting and sexy without just being like the ladies are not just here to be romanced. They are here to advance the plot in like I mean I don't know how much Bond you've seen recently, but one of the core plot points of the second or third Bond film after Casino Royale is that he falls in love deeply with one of the Bond girls, and spoiler alert, that stops happening and it devastates him, and that becomes
I did
motivation
not
for
see that.
him in future movies. And so the arc of Daniel Craig's Bond is great. I love it, and I'm excited to see whatever happens with. They're currently casting whoever's going to be next, and we don't necessarily know
Nice.
who that is. But
So now the Bond that's in this game, though, that's a completely unique version of this character, correct?
yes, and that's the other thing that I'm. This is not earth shattering, but like the sort of serialization of Bond. I don't know how else to say it. Is like the Daniel Craig Bond exists sort of in his own timeline, in his own universe, and the events of Sean Connery's Bond don't necessarily matter or exist. It's not a continuity franchise. It's a like,
Right.
we are witnessing the adventures of Bond in this time, and when that concludes, we will just be watching another person who is James Bond, be James Bond. And so this is interesting too to me. If people are Bond fans harder core than me, please correct me. I don't actually know. I thought James Bond was a code name for a spy who has a different name. And so that his code name is James Bond. But in this game, at least, you start out as like a soldier in the Air Force, and because of some circumstances, you are recruited by MI6. And so this is in this cinematic game, it is the origin story of a young Bond, and his name is James Bond before he even meets MI6. And so I was like,
Interesting.
whoa, is James Bond like the Christian name of a person, or is it a code name? So at least in the story of this game, this is a human person named James Bond who then goes
Interesting.
into the Secret
Okay.
Service, and now we're
Hmm.
in the Secret Service.
Hmm.
I will also preface this by saying I will not say any spoilers about this game, because the game is so fucking cool and it is so cinematic that I do not. If you plan to play this or look at this game, I do not want to spoil anything about it, because it is knock your socks off cinema.
Yeah.
And
It looks
I typically
gorgeous.
it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous, full stop. And I have a few caveats to that, which I'll talk about in a minute. Um, and as we've discussed here, I am not typically drawn to like a cinematic game that has a story from point A to point B, and you just kind of like play through the story, and that's the game. Like, I want player agency. I want sort of openness. I want emergent gameplay.
I was
And
surprised when you said you wanted to play this.
I watched and read a couple of reviews that convinced me, because it is the combination of the cool factor and my affinity for Bond, combined with the reviews that were like, hey, if you like Hitman, which is the developer is IO Interactive, who made all the Hitman games. I have
Yeah.
never played a Hitman game. I don't. It just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
It is interesting to me that Bond to me is cool, but Hitman is like, I don't care. I don't care about Hitman. Um,
I mean,
and
Bond
on
is arguably a bit more iconic than Hitman is.
Sure. And then the other comparison point that people keep making is Uncharted, which to me has always been like, oh, what if you were Indiana Jones in a video game? But I've never played an Uncharted game, I think, because they were mostly on PlayStation, I think, for a long time, and only more recently came to PC. But Uncharted, to my understanding, is super linear. So I was really not inclined to play a very linear action adventure game.
This
And
is
what I
linear too, though, no?
it is very linear, because the story is the story. However, what is happening in 007 First Light, we should say the fucking name of the video game, is that you are dropped into these very compelling scenarios, and there are multiple ways to figure out what to do and how to achieve the mission based on what you discover, what your play style is, what gadgets you bring into the mission, what intelligence you acquire during the mission. And so, again, people who know Hitman, they're probably saying, well, this is Hitman. And I get that, of like, Hitman is almost like a sandbox where it's like, your mission is to, I presume, kill this target, but it's very sneaky. You got to use the environment. And that's what's happening here. And I really, really like it, because it has the style and sophistication and stakes of a Bond film. Um, and because it's so cinematic and so well written, I love all the characters. I love all the scenarios and situations. And you're in situations where it's just like, Well, you have to get into this hotel room and figure out what happened. But you drove a car to the hotel and you're the chauffeur. Your cover story is that you're a chauffeur. So figure it out. And also, young Bond tends to go rogue. Like, the story of him is like he has really good instincts about what is at stake here, and everyone on your radio is like, Bond, just stay the fuck in the car and keep a lookout. Don't get reckless.
And
And
he
Bond
can't
and
do that.
your Bond is like, oh no, something's wrong here. I got to go in. And the story is like Bond gets into trouble a lot, but he's usually right about whatever's going on. So that sort of like sneak in. Now, um, the game has shooting and guns and gadgets, but what is great about it is like you do not have license to kill unless shit goes really bad. So you
Oh,
are rarely shooting. You are almost always sneaking and talking. So there is a system of, what is it called? Instinct or something. There is some
okay.
numerical system where as you stealthily take down enemies, and enemies are of a variety of sort of strength and situational awareness. So there are grunts that you can sneak up on and just take grab them from behind and take them down silently. And then there are like watchers and officers and brutes and other things that are harder to take down, and you need different tactics to take them down. But as you expend instinct to take down enemies, you can then gather more instinct by, or excuse me, you there's this push and pull of like, as you use your abilities, you are spending currency to, and then as you take enemies down, you acquire currency. But then you're also using your Q watch. If you're not a Bond fan, Q is the gadget guy at
Yeah.
HQ who like, there are all these cinematic sequences where Bond goes downstairs and Q is like, Bond, try out these new gadgets that I've made for you, and it's the tutorial that shows you what you can
Hmm.
do. And so you have a loadout of gadgets that do different things, and you are expending battery power and chemicals to do the gadget abilities. And as you move through the environment, you're picking up like, oh, here's a hair dryer. Let me pull the battery out and add more battery power. Oh,
Oh,
I broke into the laundry room. Here's some Windex. I can like grab that and refill my chemical meter so that I can continue using the abilities. So it's this constant give and take of like, you got to watch out for people who are going to like blow your cover. You got to eavesdrop on different conversations in different situations to be like, oh, this person is talking about this. I should go over here. I got to sneak into here to get some batteries. I can use my gadget to like distract this guy while drop a fucking crate on this other guy's head so I can sneak around the corner, all while you're getting radio communication from your squad mates who are like, shit, we found the thing. Like, Bond, where are you? Why are you going in here? And Bond's like, something's wrong. I gotta get, and it just becomes this very emergent. The story is on rails, and you are accomplishing the goals that progress the story. It is a linear game, but the way in which I'll say this. The game is either tricking me into thinking I have agency really, really well, or there are multiple ways to solve this sort of riddle box, Rubik's Cube of a scenario. But, and I've said this before, I'm not an environmental puzzle person. So when I walk up to a door and the door has a bunch of symbols and numbers on it, and I got to figure out the puzzle in like Zelda style. Zelda's is an exception because I love Zelda, but like figuring out the code of a door and moving the statues over here, fuck that. I don't like those sorts of games. But in Bond and I presume in Hitman, this entire hotel with hundreds of people in it is the puzzle, and I need to sneak through it. and kind of like open every drawer and look around every corner and use every gadget to figure out
Hmm.
how to solve this puzzle in order to advance the story. And it's done so well that I am like fully immersed in this game.
So it almost sounds like they managed to execute emergent elements within a linear game, and that was able to hold your attention, which is fascinating because yeah, historically I have not known you to play these types of games really.
Correct.
A little in the past, but um yeah, so maybe that's an interesting takeaway for the future, because that means that if you can find the right execution of emergent gameplay within a linear story, that you might still
Absolutely
enjoy a game.
correct. And this game
Yeah.
is it's very challenging. You have to be very precise in what you do and do not do, and going balls out with your fists is almost never the right choice
No.
because you will get your ass handed to you if you're not very sneaky and very precise. So it is a game where, at least for me, I'm not great at it yet. Like I am constantly blowing it and having to restart at the checkpoint, but because it's so much fun and so cool, I am not getting frustrated at all. I want to keep going and keep going. And then the last layer on it is like, and when I do figure it out, I feel like the coolest, most badass motherfucker ever. And it's so well written and so well executed that I'm
Ah,
literally
lovely.
like laughing out loud because Bond is so many of these characters are just like, everything about Bond is like everyone at MI6 is like, I'm so cool. Are you cool? Yeah, man, I'm cool. Let's do cool things. And there's just something about the dialogue where they're just doing these quips, and it is not corny and it is not over the top. It is just this precisely perfect amount of British quippy coolness that makes James Bond, and they fucking nail it. I'm like, you're talking to Moneypenny, who is like the mission giver, and the way they talk to each other, and they'll just like wrap up the briefing. And I wish I could give you an example, but it's just like
Well, I
she'll
feel like
say
they're probably hitting the notes of original Bond is what they're doing in a
perfectly.
modern way.
She'll say something, and he'll say something like, "Yeah, I do that all the time," and I'm just like, "Ha!" I'm just like in my chair being like, yeah, and I'm such a sucker for it, or they're nailing it, and I really think they're nailing
It's
it.
probably some of both, and that's
God
fine.
damn. The combat's really cool. It's very Arkham-ish, Arkham slash Shadow of Mordor, where it's a lot of like button prompt, but there's very little UI. So it's very much a feeling game of like you're reading the tells of your enemies. There's like a little there's like a yellow flash that kind of shows you when they're about to strike. And again, just like button mashing, the punching is not the way to victory. It's about reading the tells of the enemies and then sort of like grabbing their fists and then pulling them down and like grabbing them into a hold and like beating the hell out of them as they're like holding them down so that you can kind of slam them to the ground and then get them out of sight so that you can continue sneaking around. And
Wow.
it's extremely rhythm oriented, extremely feeling. It's like a push pull. It's not a button mashy thing. And it takes getting used to, but once you get in the flow of it, you're like, yeah, yeah, this is really cool. And the one other thing I'll say, zero spoilers, but like again, you are young Bond joining MI6, and so the beginning of the game is like you're training to become a spy, and you're in these training missions that are built as like sneaky stealth missions, but you're still training, and you're with your sort of compatriots who are also going through training. And so as you're going through the tutorial of the game, you're learning the mechanics, and suddenly like, okay, like you creep around and you take down a guy and you take him down and all, and you're like, whoa, Bond, you're so cool. And then like smash cut to the firing range, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, now oh my god, I'm playing a movie montage. Like
Stop.
Think
That's
of the
fun.
what's the last video game where you were doing a tutorial and it was like in a video game tutorial is like, okay, you do this and you learn this mechanic. Now walk over here to do this thing. No, they made a movie montage that is a video game, but I didn't realize I was in the montage until 2 to 3 like cuts. And I'm looking at it being like, whoa, this is the movie montage I would be watching if I was watching a Bond
Ooh,
movie, but I'm actually
but you're
playing it
playing
and it
it.
doesn't feel disjointed like, whoa, where I was just fighting, now I'm sneaking. Well, what am I doing? It's so beautifully executed that I was like,
Wow.
I'm in a movie montage. I'm in a James Bond movie. This is so fucking cool. God damn, this game is cooler. It's the coolest video game I've played in a very long time.
I love that. I love that you are getting such a good time out of it.
I recommend it. It's very expensive. It is $70. Also, my quibble with it is that lots of reviews were like, performance is really good. And I was like, okay, cool. It looks really good. I was having performance issues with it, even tweaking settings and using DLSS. I was opening doors and walking into crowded rooms. I was frames were dropping and it was
Okay.
killing the immersion for me quite a bit. So I spent a lot of time tweaking, and my solution was actually to like cut the frame rate in half and play it at 30 frames. And that took a bit of getting used to, but I really prefer it because now it is like rock solid 30. And because I'm in a movie, it feels, in a way, it feels kind of like extra cinematic to play it at a lower frame rate.
Yeah.
It feels slightly less video gamey, more movie ish, and I just like it being like, so the trade off is like I have cranked the graphics settings all the way up to max, and I'm using DLAA, which is like the super crispy um, upscaler, rather
Mhm.
than DLSS, which can have like artifacting. Like certain NPC hair was like looking very like pixely, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm getting a bad frame rate, and things look like a little janky at times. I'm like, what if I want this to look beautiful at all times. And
Yeah.
so I'm cranking the graphics up and I'm playing at 30, and I'm very satisfied with that decision. And I'm reading a lot online of people are like, oh man, I wish the performance was better. So I'm
Hmm.
putting that out to you. Maybe wait for a patch, wait for a discount if $70 is too hefty. It's 50. I'm reading that it's 15 hours, but there is also challenge modes where you can go back and replay the scenarios from the campaign, but with challenge modifiers. So you can make the enemies super powerful. You can limit your gadget uses or something so that you have to be very, very extra skilled to creep around. So I think you can get a little more of your money's worth out of it if you want to go play all of it.
Also, I just wanted to throw out that you can save a few dollars on it via Loaded, where they have it for PC for 63.
Okay.
And then they also, I think Fanatical might also have it.
Fanatical had it down to, so I got it on Fanatical and it was dropped down to like 60-ish, but
Yeah,
I don't know
they
if that's like limited keys or whatever.
so no, it's not limited keys, but I did learn because I can't remember if I've said this on the podcast or not, so I'll just say it again. The my parent company that owns GameSpot also owns Fanatical.
Right.
Fanatical gets exclusive deals with certain games where they are able to launch the games at a discount. So, like when Coffee Talk Tokyo just came out,
Mm.
we had a 25% discount on the launch, which was the highest. It was higher than Steam's
Yeah,
discount.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
that was an exclusive deal. So some of these discounts that they get are exclusive to them, like in its agreement
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
they make.
And I don't, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like a limited time window or a limited number of keys that can sell out.
I don't know either.
Right.
I mean, that is, I could ask that team, but that is something that I'm not privy to that
Yeah.
information
Yeah.
yet. So, but either way, it is handy if you're like, ooh, that's a lot of money. I need a little
Yeah.
discount.
Yeah. Let's
you
shave a
know?
little bit off there.
I mean, it sounds like it's worth the full price tag. It sounds like
for me,
it's a great game.
It really is. Like since I've been playing lots of, Sims and Emergent and I just arc raiders out the ass. I really wanted something to fully immerse into like a story with characters and stuff. Man, it's so God, I have played so much fucking Arc Raiders that now I'm playing this third person action game, and I keep walking into environments that contain crates and lockers and computers, and every fiber of my being is I'm trying to like loot them, because every time in Arc Raiders you're sneaking into buildings trying to like pry open canisters to get loot, and that's not in this game because that's not the game. But I keep like walking up to lockers being like, anything in here? And I'm like, no, okay, no, it's not Arc
That
Raiders,
happened to
it's double oh
me.
007.
That happened to me forever ago when I was playing BioShock,
Mm-hmm.
because I was so obsessed with BioShock and playing it all the time. And in BioShock, you're searching garbage cans all the time. And I found myself meandering around in the real world, glancing at garbage cans and being like, what the fuck is wrong with me? It was super funny.
Love that.
But yeah.
I love that.
So anyway,
Two last things. The game is mostly beautiful. It I can't quite put my finger on it. There is a stylization that I really like, because it when you're in the game and you're watching cutscenes, some of the scenes are like, it's so gorgeous, but it does not look to my eye like photorealistic. It looks stylized in just a way where it's like, it's not a cartoon and it's not like an animated movie, but it looks mostly real, but it still looks like a video game, but not in a in some scenarios it looks like very video gamey, and in other scenarios it looks like a highly stylized animated film, in a 3D animated movie in a good way. And I like that they chose to sort of not go like 100% photorealistic. They kind of went like 90% with a little bit of style. And the result of that is that it looks really cool. And then occasionally I will run into NPCs that look like potato faces. And that is a problem with like narrative games that some developers can solve by leaning harder into stylistic. And it makes me wish that a lot of these like third person action games, your Horizon games, your Monster Hunters, Star Wars Outlaws, Control, whatever these games are, I wish they would go for like a more stylized painterly vibe, so that you can
yeah.
get away with human faces that just look like stylized faces, instead of like, you tried to make a human face but you didn't have the budget to go all the way, so it just looks like a potato's talking to me. And that is, to me, that's a bit immersion breaking in what is otherwise a stupendous looking video game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about that with Retro Rewind. I was like, my only complaint
Yeah.
about this is that after coming off another shop sim, which is so incredibly stylized and just fantastic looking, that I felt like the only thing they could have done to really improve it was to make it a more stylized, uh, stylized style would I think have made it even better versus the kind of like, well, I mean, it's kind of stylized, but not in the way I'm thinking is a bit different, you know?
The NPCs in Retro Rewind, to my eye, looking at screenshots, look like human characters from Toy Story 1.
Yes, that is a perfect way of putting it. Perfect. Like, yeah.
Do you remember seeing Toy Story 1 in the movie theater? And
Ooh.
because it was, I have a distinct memory of this because it was the first 3D animated feature film. It was the first
Yeah.
CGI film, or at least the first mainstream one. And I remember going into this movie theater being like, looking at these toys, being like, holy shit, this looks like real life. Look
Yeah.
at the texture of these toys. And then you cut to the human children, and they are these abominations that look like
You're
terrifying.
like, oh my god, this is my nightmare. It's a horror
Right.
movie.
But as a kid,
Yeah,
you probably didn't really think about that. But then when you look at Toy Story 1, it like looks pretty good until you look at the humans, and then you're like, oh my
yeah,
God.
yep, yep. You're right.
So in a way, 90s NPCs in a 90s video store should look like Toy Story characters. I think that kind of works.
Yeah,
I kind of like it.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So anyway, Bond is great. It makes you feel cool. There's a lot of signposting for the acrobatics and the set pieces where it's like the game just tells you where to go and where to jump, and that's good because I don't want to wander around like, what am I supposed to do? I want to be an action guy who has really killer instincts about where to go.
Yeah,
Again, I just zero spoilers, but like one of the first big action sequences is a variety of set pieces that culminates in the most unhinged fucking action movie thing. And it is like, I can't even believe what I'm playing. It is so fucking cool. And I'm only in the beginning of the game. It just is blow your mind. It knocked my socks off. It's so well done, I
so
feel.
great.
Yeah. So that's it. We are going
Awesome.
to close up the shop here. We're going to rewind our podcasts before we return them to the podcast store. Any closing words or thoughts before we get out of here?
It was a fun week. I mean, other than the whole, giant Steam price increase, it was a fun week.
Yeah. Tons of demos, tons of games, tons of releases. All the April stuff I feel like is bleeding over into May. Like the tons of shit came out in April, and now a lot of
Yeah.
stuff is just piling up. Yeah, so do let us know what demos you're playing. I would really love to hear, for those of you who got a Steam controller, has that changed your your video game habits? Because it has deeply changed mine. I am noticing a profound shift in what I am playing because of the Steam controller. So please do let us know in the Discord. And for now, we will sign off. We will talk to you in a week.
Bye.